Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dylan Lutz with the National Weather Service in Atlanta, Peachtree City, and this will be your weekly weather briefing for the week starting June 13th, 2024. All right, we'll start with a couple of just highlights looking at the week ahead and some of the risk levels associated with it. The only place where we're really concerned about anything this week is going to be Saturday and Sunday. The only reason we've got those twos there is it is going to be pretty warm this weekend. We've got heating indices that are going to be approaching the triple digits and into the triple digits in some locations. So because of that, this is going to be some of the warmest weather that we've seen so far this year. We've upped those risk levels just a little bit for those reasons. However, other than that, we don't really have too much going on. We are going to have some afternoon isolated thunderstorms possible starting Sunday and carrying on through the rest of the week. But that'll pretty much be it. So diving into the current conditions around the area, we do have a few clouds out there. Looking at the current satellite, we do expect that those should clear by the afternoon hours. We have some very isolated afternoon thunderstorms that'll be possible up in northeast and parts of western Georgia. Those are going to be very isolated, and we're not expecting any severe weather with it. Other than that, it's warming up pretty quick out there. It's June in Georgia, so temps are already in the upper 70s and 80s. Looking at the maximum forecast temps and those precip chances today, as I stated before, with the precip chances, it's far northeast Georgia mountains. And portions of West Georgia, specifically like West Central Georgia. Those are going to be the primary places where, if you do happen to see a thunderstorm today, that would be where you're most likely to see it. But the overall chances are pretty low. We're talking like 15-20% chance tops. Otherwise, it's warming up out there pretty quickly, and today's highs are going to get into the 90s across much of the area, with the exception of those northeastern mountains where things will be just a touch cooler in the 80s. Looking at tomorrow, tomorrow is where things are going to start to progressively heat up going into the weekend. It's definitely going to be a lot warmer tomorrow. We're going to have high temperatures that are going to reach well into the 90s. We're talking the mid 90s. We could even see some upper 90s in portions of central Georgia. We pretty much have no precip chances in place, so it's going to get pretty warm, and it's going to be kind of a sign of things to come into the weekend, which, taking a look at that, we're adding in now those Saturday and Sunday high temperatures, and you can see it's kind of much of the same and even a little bit warmer on Saturday. We've got temps that are in some places, the actual forecast temperature could reach those triple digits. We have 100-degree forecasts in places like Columbus and in some of the areas around Macon and stuff like that down in central Georgia. So it's going to be pretty warm this weekend, unfortunately. Same thing for Sunday, for Father's Day. It's not quite as warm as it is on Saturday. But as you'll see with the feels like temperatures, it's going to be a touch more humid on Sunday. So those feels like temperatures are going to end up looking pretty much the same. And here's what we're talking about with that. Those feels like temperatures, basically, we're kind of adding in how it actually feels out there. So how hard is the wind blowing to help cool you down? How humid is it? So it's kind of harder to get that relief from, simple things like sweating and stuff like that. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's going to be hot. Saturday and Sunday are absolutely going to be the hottest 2 days we have out there. We're going to have pretty widespread triple digits in terms of our heat indices, both Saturday and Sunday. That's going to include most of north and central Georgia, including the Atlanta metro area. It's also going to include like Athens and definitely Columbus and Macon, where you very likely will get into the triple digits down there. You could start to approach on those middle 105-degree temperatures and stuff like that. So it's definitely going to be hot each of those days. So just take it easy out there. It is Georgia. We're used to the heat. We're used to the humidity, things like that. But with that in mind, this is probably the hottest day we've seen so far this year. You may not immediately be used to it. Take it easy. Make sure you're drinking lots of water, take frequent breaks, all those good things. Also with those pets and stuff like that, take it easy for those little fellows and stuff. They also need water and they need frequent breaks as well. So keep that all in mind. So looking at the just kind of the weather pattern going into the weekend, Saturday into Sunday, you will see what appears to be a cold front that's going to be approaching the area on Saturday from the north. It's not quite going to make it here during the day on Saturday. The good news is that the air mass that's in place is already pretty dry, and that's going to stay kind of the case for Saturday. So while we do have those very high temperatures that are kind of forecast that are approaching those triple digits, I won't call it a dry heat. It's definitely not, a desert Southwest dry heat or anything like that. It'll still be a little humid out there. This is Georgia after all. But compared to what it could be for this time of year, it certainly won't be all that bad in terms of the humidity. So that is going to kind of help tamper how bad the temperatures could be, absolutely. Going into Sunday, you'll see that cold front, it looks like it swings into the area. That will happen potentially overnight, Saturday into Sunday, and we may see the cold front kind of push into Georgia, but it's going to pretty much immediately stall out, and then during the day, we're going to actually see southerly winds, and we're going to get basically warm, moist air coming off like the Gulf and the Atlantic that are going to start to make their way right back into the area and kind of push that cold front right on out of here. So because of that, Sunday, it's still going to be hot. It's still going to be pretty, and unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit more humid as we start to see a return of that moisture into the area than it was on Saturday, which is why in terms of heat indices, both these days look just about as bad as the other. For the rest of the week, going Monday into Tuesday, or I should say just the beginning of the week, basically that weather pattern is going to kind of stick in place where we'll have those southerly to southeasterly winds that are kind of helping bring a little bit of moisture back into the area. And so we'll see basically our rain chances kind of start to tick up a little bit as a result of that, though it's not going to be anything that's going to be too crazy compared to what we normally would see for like afternoon summertime thunderstorm chances in June in Georgia. So looking at the temperatures, because those thunderstorm chances do tick up a little bit, basically those afternoon, you're going to get some cloud cover and things like that it's going to develop in the afternoon as those storms and things develop. So it's not going to be quite, at least in the forecast right now, quite as warm as it is going to be this weekend. It's still going to be plenty warm. We'll be into the 90s, which is a little bit above average for this time of year for sure. But it's definitely not going to be approaching those triple digits like we saw on, or like we're going to see on Saturday and Sunday. Just to kind of put it into perspective, again, in terms of the rain chances going into next week, you can see Friday and Saturday, mostly going to be dry as we've got a pretty dry air mass that's in place. And then as we go into Sunday and through the rest of the week, just looking at these kind of select cities, pick your favorite corner of the state is kind of the idea with this. You can see those rain chances do start to slowly tick up, and we start to see 15-20% chances of rain return pretty much to the whole area as we get into early next week. Going beyond that a little bit and just looking at the Climate Prediction Center's outlooks for 6 to 10 days, so going into the end of next week basically, you can see temperature-wise on the left here, we are forecast, at least for right now, to have decent chances of being above average in terms of our temperatures. Basically, we're going to have high pressure that's going to kind of settle over the eastern United States is the idea. And so we'll have a little bit of a heat dome, so to speak, that's going to start to build into the area potentially. So I have to keep an eye out for that. And with that, our thunderstorm chances are going to be a little bit suppressed compared to what they would normally be for this time of year in June. Last but not least, we'll do a quick little tropical update here. We do have 2 areas that the NHC is highlighting, the National Hurricane Center is highlighting for the next 7 days. First is that kind of yellow area with the X that you see right off the coast of Florida. There is some development of that disturbance that's going to be possible in the next 2 days. Good news for that, it's tracking off pretty quickly to the northeast. There should be no impacts to north and central Georgia, even if it does develop. The only impacts for the state of Georgia would potentially be along the coastline, mostly in the form of like some additional wave action and stuff like that. Beyond that, you can see there's a little orange area in the Gulf and around the Yucatan and Mexico there. Good news about that, it could develop next week, but at least right now, pretty much all models are showing that even if it were to develop, it would mostly stay on the west side of the Gulf and potentially impact either Mexico or portions of Texas. So that would mean, of course, no impacts to Georgia, which is good news for us. All right, To wrap things up, here's just another look at your weekly highlights and risk levels. Once again, Saturday, Sunday, those are where we're going to have the high heat indices. So that's why we have that slightly elevated risk level. But otherwise, no big impacts expected through the next week, just mainly afternoon isolated thunderstorms as we go into early next week. If you need to contact us or reach out to us, here's various ways that you need to do that if you have any additional questions or stuff like that about this briefing. Otherwise, this has been your weekly weather briefing. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week.